Do you really think you're cool? Like, right now, would you consider yourself a cool person? And if you do, why? Is it the way you dress, or the music you listen to, or the friends you keep? Or maybe it's just the quiet confidence you feel inside yourself. What actually makes you cool? It's a weird question, isn't it? Because almost nobody walks around saying, I'm uncool. Everybody thinks they're cool in their own very special way. Some people lean on fashion, others on humor. Some may even say, I'm not mainstream cool, I'm my own kind of cool. But at the end of the day, it's all the same game. Everybody thinks they've got it. And yet, if everybody is cool, doesn't that mean nobody really is? It's quite the paradox when you really think about it. That's because coolness is supposed to separate you from the crowd, right? But when the entire crowd believes that they are special, the whole idea collapses. Cool really becomes just an illusion. It becomes a story that we all tell ourselves, but that nobody can prove. And yet, coolness is the most powerful product on the planet. Seriously, forget about money, forget about crypto, AI, oil, forget about all that. The real engine of human behavior is the pursuit of cool. It is the invisible economy that drives what we wear, what we buy, who we admire, and how we want to be seen. Cool is the crown jewel, the real prize that everybody has been chasing, whether they want to admit it or not. Look at billionaires, for example. These people literally have all the money in the world and everything they could ever want. Well, almost everything. See, even though they have private islands, private jets, armies of employees, they can sit courtside at the biggest basketball games and attend the best events. They possess all of those things simply because they want to be cool. But the funny thing is, cool is one of those things that they can't buy because money doesn't guarantee cool. Look at a guy like Elon Musk, for example, the richest man on earth. Even he is chasing cool. I mean, he tweets stupid memes, picks fights online, has a bunch of kids with all different women. For all his wealth, he is still searching for the one thing money can't deliver, that stamp of cool. So, what does buy cool then? Is it looks or charisma? Is it clothes? I feel guilty if I didn't tell you that nobody really knows. That's the crazy part about all this. Cool is completely intangible. You can't define it, measure it, or even hold it in your hand. But you know when you see it, right? And you definitely know when you don't have it. That's why people are terrified of being labeled uncool. And guess what? This is where consumerism hooks you. That's because almost every market comes with an invisible promise attached to it. Buy this and you will be cooler. The sneakers, the cars, the clothes, the jewelry. I mean, none of it is about function. Nobody buys a Lamborghini because it's good on gas or spends thousands on diamonds because it's practical. Nobody lines up for the newest, freshest Jordans because they're the most comfortable shoes to wear. These things are all symbols. They exist to buy you a little piece of the cool economy. And if you strip away the marketing language and peel back the branding, that's what consumerism really is. It's a giant global machine whispering in your ear, you're not cool enough yet. But if you spend a little more, if you upgrade, if you consume, maybe then you'll get there. Cool is the bait that keeps the whole system running. Spooky, right? But wait, because it gets even deeper. Because parents want their kids to be cool. So we buy them the freshest kicks, the newest phones, and the nicest outfits, all because we know school is a jungle. And we don't want our kid to be the uncool one. But it's not even really about our kid, it's about us. If our kids are cool, it reflects back on us. Their coolness is tied to our identity. That's how deeply the illusion digs into human psychology. So ask yourself again, are you cool? And if you are cool, by what standard? By whose measurement? Is it something you created or something you absorbed from culture? And if cool is everywhere, doesn't that mean it's actually nowhere? If it's nowhere, does that mean the whole thing was smoke and mirrors from the start? Coolness is the world's biggest scam. It's the most addictive product ever invented, and it doesn't matter if you're broke, a middle class, or a billionaire. You're trapped in the same chase. So now you see the illusion. What happens if you stop playing the game? What if you decide right here, right now, that you don't care about being cool anymore? Wouldn't that make you free? Wouldn't that mean you've escaped the trap? Not so fast, because here's the thing: the second you stop chasing cool, something funny happens. People start saying, wow, that's actually pretty cool. See the trap? Even rejecting the game gets turned into another version of the game. Let's say you grow your hair out, you stop caring about your clothes, you wear the same outfit every day, and suddenly people are calling you a trendsetter. You say, I don't care what anybody thinks. And people respond, that's such a cool attitude. The system absorbs your rebellion. Your anti cool becomes its own brand of cool. This has been happening forever. Just look at punk in the 70s. It was raw, ugly, rebellious, and designed to shock and offend. And then, within a few years, you could buy punk fashion in the mall. Grunge in the 90s started as we don't care about image, just play music in flannel shirts. Then record labels turned flannel into $1 billion style. Even today, TikTok is full of I don't care influencers pretending to be authentic while perfectly staging their messy rooms and unbothered attitudes. Every counterculture eventually gets commodified. The rebellion becomes the new uniform. That's how the cool wars work. One group defines cool, and another group rebels. The rebellion gets absorbed, and the cycle repeats. Hipsters say we don't follow trends, but their non trendy look instantly became a trend. Skaters reject the mainstream, but skate brands became $1 billion companies. Even nerd culture, once mocked as the opposite of cool, is now the centerpiece of global entertainment. Superheroes, comics, video games, anime, all the nerd stuff is now mainstream cool. Every time you think you found the outside, the system drags it back inside. But here's what's really crazy: the machine doesn't just absorb your rebellion, it monetizes it. That punk jacket that you bought at Hot Topic was mass produced by a corporation that couldn't care less about rebellion. That Nirvana shirt at Walmart exists because the anti cool movement became profitable. Corporations figured out the formula: turn every screw the system into a marketing campaign. Even authenticity gets sold back to you. Be yourself becomes a slogan on a hoodie. The system feeds on rebellion as much as it feeds on conformity. So, where does that leave you? Because if you chase cool, you're trapped. But if you reject cool, you're also trapped. Either way, you're in the game. You're defined by the binary cool versus uncool. And the binary itself is the prison. That is the part that nobody wants to face. Cool and uncool aren't opposites, they're two sides of the same coin. They exist only in relation to each other, which means as long as you're identifying with either side, you're still enslaved by the same logic. The cool kid and the proud outsider are both playing roles in the same script. They both exist inside the illusion. So, what's the way out? It's not about choosing cool or uncool. It's about stepping outside the frame entirely. It's about realizing the whole concept is manufactured, synthetic, imposed on you by culture, media, marketing, and peer pressure. Cool is a story you were handed, not a truth you created. And once you see it for what it is, you realize the only real power isn't to play the game better, but to walk off the board completely. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, but isn't stepping outside the frame just another way of playing the game? Isn't saying you don't care about cool just its own version of cool? And that's exactly how deep the trap goes. The system wants you to believe that there's no escape, that every move is still part of the board. But here's the difference: stepping outside isn't about rebelling for show or trying to be the too cool to care guy. It's about finally realizing the game was never real to begin with. And once you see that, you stop living for perception and start living for truth. Think about it right now. What would your life look like if you weren't worried about being cool or even uncool? If you weren't spending money, time, and energy trying to maintain some perception? If you weren't measuring yourself against celebrities, influencers, or even your peers? What if you weren't thinking, how do I look? But instead, who am I really? That's where the true individuality lives, not in being cool or uncool, but in transcending the binary altogether. That's the territory very few people ever reach because it requires breaking free from the only game they've ever known. It's terrifying to stop chasing cool because then you have to define your life without it, and most people would rather keep living in the illusion than face that kind of freedom. The obsession with being cool isn't just some harmless game, it's psychological warfare. It gets inside your head. It rewires how you think, how you act, and how you measure your own worth. Cool is a drug, and most people are full blown addicts. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by this invisible pursuit of coolness. How many times did you hesitate to wear something because you weren't sure if it would look cool? How many times did you bite your tongue because you didn't want to say the uncool thing? How many hours have you scrolled through social media not because it made you happy, but because you were subconsciously comparing your life to people you thought were cooler than you? That's not just culture, it's conditioning. And that's what you call control. Social media turned the cool trap into a prison. See, back in the day, you worried about being cool in your school, your neighborhood, or your workplace, but now you're competing against the entire world. Every selfie, every story, every post is basically you saying, hey, look at me. Am I cool yet? And the worst part is, you're not even aware you're doing it. You think you're just sharing, but deep down, you're asking for validation. You're begging for those dopamine hits that come from likes, views, and followers. The platform is the dealer, and coolness is the high. And it doesn't stop on your phone screen. This obsession bleeds into your real life. People buy cars they can't afford, clothes they don't even like, and houses that drown them in debt, all because they think it'll make them look cooler. People literally go broke trying to maintain an image. Think about that. People would rather go bankrupt than be seen as uncool. That's how deep this poison runs. Oh, and here's where it gets even more sinister. Coolness is a moving target. It is never fixed. What's cool today is lame tomorrow. That's because styles change, music trends flip, platforms rise and fall. Facebook is the hottest thing in the world one day, and the next day, it's where your grandma posts memes. If cool is the prize you are chasing, you will never win because the finish line keeps moving. And that is by design because as long as you are chasing, you're consuming. And as long as you're consuming, you're trapped. This is the definition of slavery. I'm not talking about chains and whips. No, this is mental slavery. You don't need guards if people police themselves. And cool is the ultimate self-policing mechanism. Imagine that. People don't need to be forced into conformity. They do it willingly out of fear of being labeled uncool. They will silence their own thoughts, betray their own tastes, and bury their own individuality just to fit in. You want to know why society feels shallow, fake, and soulless? It's because people are living as avatars of cool, not as authentic selves. Cool isn't just about clothes, money, and status. It actually seeps into morality. People don't just ask, is this outfit cool? They ask, is this opinion cool? Is this belief cool? Is this socially acceptable for me to say? And that's where cool becomes dangerous because once morality gets tied to coolness, truth dies. People stop asking what's real, what's logical, what's right. Instead, they ask, what will make me look cool in the eyes of others? That's why society can't move forward. That's why people cave to groupthink. The cool opinion always wins over the true opinion. And look, I'm not saying you should ignore society completely. I mean, we are social beings. We all want connection, but there's a difference between seeking connection and enslaving yourself to perception. One empowers you, the other destroys you. And right now, most people are on the wrong side of that line. So be honest with yourself. How many of your choices are really yours? How many of your opinions, your purchases, your dreams, are they authentically you? Or are they just the result of chasing cool? If you strip away everything you've done for the sake of being cool, what's left? Do you even know who you are without that mask? That's the psychological depth of this trap. Coolness isn't just some cultural label, it's a parasite that attaches to your identity and feeds off your insecurity. It keeps you running in circles, begging for approval, terrified of being excluded. And the more you chase it, the further you drift from yourself. Coolness doesn't just rob you of your money, it robs you of your authenticity. And if you lose that, you've lost everything. So, about the cool wars, humanity is locked in a never ending battle. Who's in? Who's out? Who gets crowned? Who gets clowned? Every culture, every generation, every platform is just another battlefield. You see it in the high school cafeterias. You see it in the boardroom and on TikTok. You see it on the runways, in politics and music. It's the same war being fought over and over. The battle for cool. And like any war, there are factions. On one side, you've got the people desperately chasing mainstream cool, the influencers, the fashion victims, the status climbers. And on the other side, you've got the rebels, the anti cool warriors, the ones saying, we don't care. And yet, both sides secretly think they are the true winners. Both sides believe they are the ones holding the crown. And that's why it never ends, because the cool wars aren't about who actually wins. They're about keeping the fight alive forever. But here's the realization that takes this beyond everything we've talked about so far. The cool wars aren't just a cultural battle. They're a distraction. They're the perfect smokescreen to keep you from ever asking the real questions about your own existence. While you're busy fighting over cool versus uncool, you never stop to ask who you really are. You never stop to wonder what your mind is, what your soul is, what reality itself actually is. Cool is the greatest diversion in human history. It keeps billions of people occupied with surface level status games while the deeper truths of life remain buried. I want you to really think about this for a second. If you are trapped in the cool wars, your attention is always external. You're always looking at how others see you. You're always measuring yourself against an audience. That means your inner world, the only thing that is actually yours, gets neglected and ignored. Coolness turns you into an actor playing for a crowd, and you never realize you were supposed to be the author of your own story. The real rebellion isn't to win the cool wars. It isn't to pick a side. It's to end the war entirely, to step out of the battlefield, drop the labels, and reclaim your mind. Because once you see that cool and uncool are both fake categories, you're free to build something real. And you're free to define yourself not by perception, but by truth. What would your life look like if you didn't need validation, if you didn't need status, if you didn't need to be perceived a certain way? What if your worth came from the inside out, not the outside in? That's the move that blows up this entire game. That's the checkmate move. Because once you stop needing cool, you become untouchable. I mean, nobody can use it against you or even try to sell it to you, and nobody can take it away from you. And that's when you realize something cool that coolness is a tiny little game humans invented to distract themselves from the bigger game, existence itself. The universe isn't asking you to be cool. Truth doesn't care about how many likes you get, which shoes you wear, or who thinks you look good. The deeper game is about growth and evolution. Coolness is just noise. The real signal is what you do with your mind, how you shape your soul, and how you connect to the deeper mathematical fabric of reality. That's the secret hiding underneath all this. Cool was never real, and the cool wars were never winnable. They were just a training ground. They were the test, the distraction. The only way to win is not to play. So forget about being cool or uncool or choosing sides in a war that's designed to trap you. Step beyond it so you can stand on a different level entirely. That's where authenticity lives. That's where freedom lives. And when you get there, you'll laugh at those trying to be cool, the way adults laugh at kids fighting over toys. You will realize the game was always beneath you, and that realization is the one thing that the system can't commodify, monetize, or fake. So, are you still going to waste your time trying to be cool?